People who work hard but no longer have a voice. I am your voice.
Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new live stream. Make sure you guys hit that like button down below so we can get started. We're not going to have to worry about not having a face cam on during the stream. So again, make sure you guys like, subscribe if you're new, and if you guys have any super chats to send in, we're going to do a goal this stream. We're going to continue our goal from last stream. We got about halfway through. We got 32 out of 50. That's okay. We're just going to up that goal up to 60, and we already have a couple out of the gate, so let's see if we can get it. But we're at 86 likes, and we have a lot to talk about today. Some drama going on at the White House, not necessarily directly related to Trump, but within his Justice Department, that was just not really sitting well with a lot of people, and we're going to be talking about that. Also, you have the Tate brothers have entered the United States, and people are blaming Trump for that as well. So a lot of blame that's been thrown around. What part of it's warranted, what part of it's not. We're going to be getting to that as well in terms of the Epstein files, because there's a lot of blame to go around there that's legitimate, but it's not necessarily blame on Trump, more so than blame on some of the people in the White House that have just orchestrated what was nothing short of a fire festival, a big fire festival. So like the stream, we're almost at 100. Make sure you guys share the stream on social media if you want to increase its reach so we get more people in here as well. Do all that good stuff. We're going to begin when we hit 100, and there we go. We've hit it, so I am alive. The face cam is on. I hope everybody's having a great night tonight, and we got a good stream for you guys because you have a lot of stuff that happened today. And this mainly surrounds the Justice Department because Donald Trump, when he's running for president, he didn't mention it often, but he said that he'd release the rest of the JFK files, the MLK files, and the Epstein files. When asked about it, he said that he would do it. He wasn't necessarily like making it a cornerstone of his campaign. If this never came up, I don't think anybody would be talking about it. I don't think anybody would be like whining about how it was basically rolled out like this. But you can't have people like Pam Bondi, which again, this is her more so than Trump, but she's going out there, and many other people in the White House are going out there and saying, guys, it's on its way. It's coming tomorrow. The Epstein files are going to be here, and there's all this juicy stuff involved, and people are going to jail, and you know, we're going to release them in phases for sure, but phase one is going to be huge, and they're going to release it. Okay, so then it's like, interesting. Like, my expectations are not super high. And partially it's because I already know that, we kind of already know what's going on. We know who's probably involved with this sort of thing. We're never probably going to get the full details. I'd like to have them, but it's like at the end of the day, we already know what goes on with Epstein. We already know who Epstein's like main acolytes were, like Clinton and a few other people. We understand that. But you know, just having the files would be great. I would say that just because of where they were, the FBI was holding them for so long. You think they'd probably be gone a long time ago. You'd have to believe that. Like, there's basically no way they haven't tampered with them. And that means, yeah, we need to go after people that have tampered with files and get to the bottom of it. That's not going to be done overnight. That's not going to be done in one day, 1 month, probably not even 1 year. It's going to take a while to make progress on that sort of thing. So definitely Donald Trump, he's focused on ending the war in Russia, Ukraine, trying to get more funding for the border, trying to pass his tax cut extension through Congress. Pam Bondi decides to do this. And it's like, okay, we're going to get some files today. We've kind of gotten some leaks over the years. Nothing really juicy was involved. It's not like that there's been some groundbreaking evidence, but, there's been bits and pieces, okay? And then you see these influencers at the White House. A lot of social media people were there, and they have these binders that say the Epstein files phase 1, which means it's phase 1. I honestly was skeptical if there was even paperwork in them, which there was. And we'll get to that in a second. But it's like, is this the best way to roll it out? Give it to a bunch of social media influencers. Because if there's anything that's that juicy in there, you understand, because I am a social media influencer, that you want to be the one to leak something big, because that's what's going to make you the most money. It's what's going to get you the most attention, which in turn gets you followers, which gets you money. That's how social media works. It's a business. It doesn't mean that I don't say what I believe, but if there's something you can leak, you're going to want to leak it before anybody else does. It's not like it would technically be illegal, even if they tell you not to, because people did leak what was there eventually before the supposed deadline to talk about it. But besides the point, it's like, is this the best way to hand it out? The best way to do this optics-wise, give a bunch of people binders full of some Epstein documents and expect it not to, make waves on social media instantly? If that's how they want to leak it, that's one thing, but they're leaking it oh, we're going to release it to the public later, but these people are going to get the inside scoop and they're not allowed to talk about it. It's it's a little weird to me. That's not how you would do something and expect it to go over well, even if you're actually releasing Epstein files that are really worth something or implicate certain people. It's just not the way it goes. And then we get to the files. This is the most ridiculous thing in the world. So they have these people there for the supposed promised leak of the Epstein files. And then we get old files, things that have been out for years. It's a photo op is what it is. It was just one big photo op that you see, where you have a lot of names and you have a lot of numbers and things like that. And technically the original was not redacted. This one was redacted. So it's a little bit interesting. So you have a lot of names and old numbers from decades ago, and then they redacted them. And then they so they took the old files, they redacted the old files that you can find online unredacted, and they're they're literally giving it to them and trying to do this thing oh, we're releasing the Epstein files. It's just, why? What are you doing? You're making a fool out of the administration. You're not helping Trump. You're not helping anybody. You're just making a fool out of yourself when you do this stuff. This is not a professional stunt. What even is this? I just can't even wrap my head around it. It's like you tell people, oh, the Super Bowl's this week. Okay, people buy tickets. They go and wait, and they're sitting there in the stands, and they're going to see the Super Bowl. Turns out, oh no, we're going to play the Super Bowl from 2 years ago on the Jumbotron. There's no Super Bowl this year. It's the same thing. You can't defend that. You just can't. You could say that we don't have the files yet, and we're working on getting them, because it is true. And then that's the other thing, that the Southern District of New York is not complying with the Trump administration to get the files over. They're working on that with the FBI, the Department of Justice, etc. I'm fine with that, but you don't promise people this and then fly these people out to the White House, have them stand around with binders, and then expect anything good to come out of it. What good could come out of that? You're just giving people false hope, and when they actually have the hope, they're going to be more upset. Like, I'm not necessarily upset that I'm not seeing the files. It doesn't really impact me one way or another. I mean, I'd like to see them, but I didn't vote for Trump or support Trump just because, oh, well, now we're going to get to the bottom of the Epstein files. We already know. Like, come on, everybody knows who's on the Epstein list, who's on the Diddy list. Like, you know, we're never going to have a confirmed list if we don't have the files, but either way, we understand. I mean, we'd like to have accountability, don't get me wrong, but we understand that a lot of those files are likely gone for the fact that they're going to cover up their tracks, because that's how they would do it. These are powerful people. It's the same way that Epstein was supposedly quote unquote killing himself. Not really. When you have all the security cameras just magically going off in the jail where he was being held, and then he apparently, he commits suicide. Yeah, I don't think that that's entirely how it works. It's not. Everybody knows that. Everybody with half a brain, a fifth grader, could figure that out. So why are you doing this? Like, why? Like, you're not making Trump look good. You're not making you look good. Maybe you thought you were going to have him and you actually didn't. So you flew these people out and you filled the binders with old files that everybody had seen, except you redacted the old files. I mean, I can see why they would have, because it's like, supposedly like victim addresses, names, or numbers, or something like that, or even people that are on the logs. But we already had this information. We had this data. This is not some new revelation that's like groundbreaking. This is old news. You just don't get to do this at all and say it's going to be a positive thing. It's not. Maybe you could say, sorry, we have this. We have to do with the FBI. We have to deal with the Southern District of New York. We're not going to be able to release them until probably a few months from now. If they said that, it'd be one thing. Okay, well, fine. I'm not rushing. We'll get them eventually if we are able to get them at all. If they're going to try to actually get to the bottom of it, okay. Well, it shows they're actually trying to do something. But this is just controversy. They say all press is good press. I don't really see it that way in terms of this. Now, is it going to impact anything? Is it going to impact Trump's approval rating? No, especially because Trump is not directly involved. Is it going to impact the midterms? No. People that think that are terminally online. It really doesn't. But the fact that they think it's good optics in general to do this, I just don't know. I don't know what's going on, because it's like, I'm patient. If it takes a while to release these files, then I'll wait. But either way, you can't overpromise and underdeliver. Just don't promise anything. Don't promise anything, and then when it happens, it happens. It's like, whoa. Now we know all this stuff. Wow, this is something that's like a little bit of a shockwave, an earthquake, something a little bit groundbreaking. But because you have the Department of Justice, they're going out there and they're loudly saying, okay, well, we're gonna release everything, and phase one's tomorrow, and then people get flown there. They get to have some shiny binders with some old files in there. It just, it just shouldn't sit well with anybody. It shouldn't. And then you have House Republicans that are rubbing salt in the wound and making it worse, and they just can't read the room. They can't. Because technically this whole thing was a troll, whether it was accidental or not. That part is true. But this is just a little bit insane, where you have the House Republican Twitter account tweeting out breaking Epstein files released, and then you have a tiny URL link, and you click on the link, and it's a Rick roll. They play, it's the internet trend. They play Rick Astley, Never Gonna Give You Up. Everybody's seen that. So they click on it, and they get Rick rolled. It's like, is this supposed to accomplish something? Making light of this situation? I mean, there's people involved that were like sexually abused, victims, etc. Like you should, if anything, want to get to the bottom of it if you're going to be talking about it. And then you do this and you're just like, oh, you're just going to spit in your faces. Haha, you got played again, Republican voters. Like, they don't learn. They don't learn, and they don't get it. The Republican Party at large. A lot of people have, But you have a lot of people that are either incompetent and do stuff like this, or you have people that actually have bad intentions. And that's kind of a problem. That's kind of an issue. You have Donald Trump. He's in there. He's assembled a team. I hope Pam Bondi can correct course. I'm not going to say fire her over one mishap. I'm not going to do that whole routine. There's only so many people that are remotely qualified, that are remotely solid for that position. But whoever is involved with orchestrating that photo op probably should go. Assuming it's not somebody up at the top who made a mistake, a one-off, whatever. But whoever's involved in the photo op, I don't think it's a stretch to say you need to go. If you do that at any other job, any other thing, yeah, you'd be gone. You'd be 100% gone because it's an optics failure. Whether it impacts the administration in the long run, which I don't think it will, or not, is not the point. It's just use common sense. You don't overpromise and underdeliver. So Pam Bondi now has a second shot. She got a second chance. Can she, next time around, play her cards right, or is it going to be another fire festival? We have really yet to wait and see, but a lot of people who like Pam Bondi put trust in Pam Bondi. Some of those people are even saying fire Bondi. I think, after one mishap early on, we're in February, I think it's too early. She just got there. I don't think you could be, calling for her head, saying she needs to be fired. But I do think that this is criticism that is warranted, and if she does this stuff again, and she does it again, and it's a recurring pattern, nothing's getting done, then yeah, it might be time to shop around for a new attorney general, but we're not there yet. It's like you have a coach who, it's a first game and blows it. You're not going to fire him after one game, but if it continuously goes throughout the season, yeah, you're going to start talking about, okay, maybe this is a problem. But there's time. There's time to correct course, but this is legitimate criticism. I love Trump and I love his administration. He's assembled a great team around him, especially compared to the last team. But when you love something, it doesn't mean that you're not willing to say, this was not good. This was a mishap, because it was. And that's that. I mean, there is legitimate criticism that is to be warranted here, because a lot of people are fed up. They thought they were going to get something and they never actually got it. And it's just, you can't overpromise and underdeliver. Every single time you do that, it never works out well. It never does. Now, if you underpromise and overdeliver, it's like, whoa, this is awesome. It's like the jobs numbers. Trump's first term, they're like, oh, these jobs numbers are good. They get revised up. It'd be like, wow, that was huge. But under Biden, the jobs numbers would come in and they're like, wait, did we really have that many jobs last month? Doesn't really feel like it. And then, oh, wait, no, they actually, they get revised down. And then they do another audit and they revise it down like another million for the entire administration. It's like, what the hell's going on here? So you can't overpromise, you can't underdeliver. I'm not blaming Trump for that. I don't think Trump really is that involved with the whole Epstein files thing. I'm not talking about like in the files. I just mean I don't think he really cares that much either way if they're released or not. He's focused on ending the wars. He's focused on the border. He's focused on the economy. And even that kind of stuff, you have a lot of people that are giving unfair criticism. Well, he hasn't pushed a button and made everything better yet. It's like, guys, relax. All right, there's not a single presidency where somebody has fixed the entire country in 1 month. I don't think George Washington could do that. You could put all the presidents together in a room, the top 10 presidents of all time. They're not going to fix the country in 1 month. It's not how it works. These things take time in order to see, economic stability. It might take a year and a half or so. It's going to take a while. A country has got a lot of problems right now. It's a big mess you got to clean up, for sure. It's not going to happen overnight. But you don't get to criticize Trump for inflation when he haven't had a full month of an inflation report from Trump. But you have people that are willing to jump to throw a temper tantrum. It's like, let the man cook. Let the man do his job. And you can't rush. And that goes both ways. Like people like Bondi saying, oh, we're going to rush out this stunt. When we don't have the files, it's like you're making a fool out of yourself. You're making a fool out of the administration. So you can't do it. People are just ready to blame the executive for literally everything, and you understand it at this current time, and you understand that this is not going to make Trump look good if you do something like this. I'm not saying that it's his fault, because it's not, but that's not how all these people are going to view it. People are going to say, oh, this is like a PR crisis or so. We're trying not to have those. We're not. And people are trying to manufacture PR crises where they don't belong. And we're going to talk about this now because it kind of ties into the whole Tate thing. So you have Andrew Tate and you have Tristan Tate. They're the Tate brothers. They live in Romania. A lot of people have heard of them. A lot of people have heard the name but don't know anything about them. But they're basically, Andrew Tate's like a former kickboxer turned like, self-help guru, but he also was into some shady stuff. He's basically a pornographer. He was into like the whole like cam girl business and is under investigation for potential sexual trafficking under the Romanian government. Now, the Romanian government is indeed corrupt, but again, his case does seem like he, at least at a minimum, there were some unethical things that he was doing. And whether people think he's being explicitly politically targeted or not, I think everybody can agree that the guy's done some shady things. I don't think he's a role model. I don't think he's some like right-wing leader. People back in the day, 2022, they viewed him favorably. They'd have all these shorts on YouTube. Oh, he's like giving self-help advice. And it's like, really? Like all the advice he gave either was A, off base, or B, I could have told you this 5 years ago. It's like basic self-improvement stuff. Because the guy's got a Bugatti, everybody thinks that he's like some, oh, wow, we got to listen to this guy. He's got the Bugatti. It's like some of the stuff is funny. Like the whole what color's your Bugatti thing is amusing. But at the end of the day, it's like the guy's not a role model, not a conservative, not really, in my opinion, even right-wing. You just have two people that are engaged in very shady businesses in Eastern Europe, and they happen to be American citizens. Now, Romania eased their restrictions, so they fly to Miami. And then everybody's blaming Trump for it, which is insane. And they're like, oh, it's Trump's fault that there's low-class pimps or whatever entering the United States. And it's like, that's not entirely Trump's fault. People are acting like Trump called the Romanian prime minister, said, give us these guys back. They're fully innocent. They're American citizens. Give them back to us. He didn't do that. He didn't say that. You had some people in Trump's administration who have, maybe like two people out of a few hundred that have said a positive thing or two about Tate, which again, maybe they don't know the lore. Maybe they shouldn't. They should know the lore, but they don't know the lore. So, maybe you could say, okay, did they ask the Romanian people to free them? Was there pressure? And the answer is no. I mean, you see this. You have Rick Grinnell, who asked about like what's going on with the situation, didn't ask like, are you going to free these guys to us? And you see this here, but he was interested in the fate of the Tate brothers, but there was no form of pressure, no threat, and things are perfectly clear. So they basically let these guys travel freely before their eventual trial on their own volition. And again, innocent until proven guilty. Did they do some shady stuff? Yeah, probably. I mean, I've heard certain claims. I haven't dove in a little bit too deep into it, but I do understand that there are some claims that seem a little bit more legitimate. They're at least coercing women and bragging about coercing women into making sexual content for them so they could make money. They're basically pimps, and you see that. But you have so many people that are just using this as an opportunity to attack Donald Trump for some reason. Including Ron DeSantis, by the way, who, again, he took shots at Trump in a subtle manner with the whole Byron Donalds comments that he was making. Because Donald Trump endorsed Byron Donalds, DeSantis wants his wife to run for governor of Florida. And you're kind of seeing that whole thing kind of transpire, the rift. It seemed like they were getting along, Trump and DeSantis, when the campaign cycle was going on. At least DeSantis would fundraise for Trump here and there, spoke at the RNC for Trump, but still now he's like taking shots, basically saying that, oh no, it was I guess you would say subtle. where he was saying it. He was saying, no, these people have no business in Florida. We're gonna try to take matters into our own hands if this administration doesn't. And it's like, Ron, you understand that these people act unethical, and they're like pornographers or whatever. Let's just talk about your Department of Justice. You know what lives in Miami? The CEO of OnlyFans. You haven't gone after him. You haven't gone after the porn industry, which is apparently thriving in Miami. The CEO of OnlyFans lives there, and we understand what goes on. The same exact thing the Tate brothers do. The same exact thing. Trafficking, coercing people, forcing people to do things without their consent, all that sort of thing. And I haven't seen, well, what has he exactly done? Maybe like an age verification thing? Like that's not gonna stop the root cause of the problem. So I just wanted to bring that up. It's true. The primary's over, but you have so many people. It's always the simps on Twitter. They're always the people that are looking for a reason to attack Donald Trump and say, oh, well, Ron DeSantis would never do this. And it's like, look what's going on in Florida. Seriously. Like, come on. All right, let's be real here. Okay, I'm not saying he hasn't done good things. If people say, how dare you attack DeSantis, the primary's over. It's like DeSantis is taking subtle shots at Trump. All his people are taking subtle shots at Trump. I'm mainly attacking his people that are unwilling to call out their own inconsistencies because they have crippling TDS, which they do. They have crippling TDS. So that's that. Donald Trump, he was asked about the Tate brothers, said, I have no idea who these guys even are. Yeah, Donald Trump is not terminally online because he's not a loser, unlike the people that just talk shit about Trump all day, because that's what they are on social media. Oh, how dare Trump say this? It's like, get over yourself, get a life, get a job. It's like you tweet 3,000 times a day. You don't work. Like, what do you do with your life? Seriously. Or maybe they're paid. Maybe they're a part of the USAID. Who knows? Who knows where they get their money from? But, it's besides the point. You just have a lot of crazy, stupid people, and they're blaming Trump for everything. What's new? But the problem is it used to be just the resist libs back in Trump's first term. Now, on social media, it's not just the resist libs. You have like a new corner. You have several new corners of the right, and there are different sides of it. But they will just jump to attack Trump for literally everything. And it's like, this is not healthy. Let the system play out. I think there's legitimate criticism where it's due. I spent the first 20 minutes of this stream talking about Pam Bondi dropping the ball with an optics failure. I'm ready to call out stupidity wherever I see it. But these people are just going to twist themselves into a pretzel trying to tie Donald Trump to every little bad thing that goes on. Like, oh, some people who are not convicted of crimes yet entered the United States because their restrictions were lifted, which had nothing to do with Donald Trump, according to the people who lifted their restrictions, who would have everything to say, it was Trump and his team that maybe not coerced, but pressured us to do it, because it doesn't really look good letting criminals or supposed criminals, maybe not fully convicted yet, leave your country to go to other countries. It's not really the best look. But the Tate brothers, they're going to Florida, and then Ron DeSantis is like also trying to kick them out of the state of Florida because I don't know why. He's again, it's just, I think it stems from the whole Trump thing and all the DeSantis supporters, the people that are under him, many of whom are close in his inner circle. They are saying, yeah, it's Donald Trump that caused this to happen. All they do is attack MAGA. MAGA supports these people. It's like, no, I think a lot of MAGA voters don't even know who these people are. Hell, a lot of MAGA voters like Ron DeSantis. The internet is not real life. But when you have the annoying people, they get acquainted with the annoying people because they support Trump over DeSantis. Oh no, it's like makes them like your guy less. But they can't figure that out because they're stupid. They're dense. They have a average IQ of about 100. It's like, well, I can point out this thing that Trump didn't do. And it's like, well, why don't you look at the big picture? It's like the half-truths, the midwits. That's who those people are. But anyways, guys, we'll get to super chats. It's been a good monologue here. But the main takeaway from today was this. The Tate stuff was early on in the morning, and then by the time you had these photos taken. It was all about the Epstein drama. So we'll get to the super chats. We'll see what you guys have to say. But spilled a little bit there. That's okay. We have a lot of super chats. Johnny Heartdog for $20 will open us off saying, I was hoping it would all be released. I was stupid for expecting anything but the runaround we got today. Unless they stop playing these games and release everything, Trump will lose a lot of support. We, the people, have run out of patience. Well, I don't know if Trump himself will lose support, but I think that the Department of Justice will lose support. It's a little bit demoralizing because Trump appointed these people to uphold the rule of law, a little bit of a revenge thing in a way. It's partially why some people voted for Trump. And if this is a recurring pattern that goes beyond the Epstein files, it could be a problem. I'm not ready to say this is going to impact Trump or this is going to impact the midterms or this is going to do X, Y, and Z. But it is holding back the Republican brand because you have a party that is capable of just holding power for the longest time, given certain factors that I talk about in a lot of my videos. And they just dropped the ball because so many people just still cannot adapt. And when you're over-promising and under-delivering in general, you know what that is? It's reminiscent of the Republican brand. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Pam Bondi. I don't care if it's Trump himself. People are going to be disillusioned over time. So you can't have that happen and expect people to stay around in the long run. Happens once, whatever. If it happens 10 times, 20 times, you name it. But the Epstein files themselves, them not being released, is not gonna have much of an impact, in my opinion. But you can't. But they're the ones bringing it up. The only reason why anybody's talking about it right now is because they said we're going to do it. We're going to declassify, and then they don't declassify. Why not just talk about it in general? Because focus on something else if you don't have the files. If you don't want to release them, still talk about something else just for your own sake. But they won't do it. Johnny Heartdog says, just to clear something up with some of the viewers, I'm not rich. In fact, I'm dirt poor. I just love talking politics. Well, you're not dirt poor if you send super chats, but I do appreciate the support. We love Johnny Heartdog. That is true. Mitchell Ryan says, I feel like this is going to hurt the administration. I just disagree because it's just a bad. It's like it's like when they said we have Trump's taxes and they open them and they're like, oh, Trump paid his taxes in 2005. Oh, it's like I can't say that it's gonna impact the administration in terms of the long run, in terms of how people are going to view it at large. Like the very online people are going to be disillusioned. I just feel like it would have to be a recurring pattern of stuff like this to say, okay, well, yeah, 2026 is going to be a disaster, or 2028 is going to be a disaster, or Trump's approval is going to be in the gutter, which would tie into both of those things. I'm not ready to go there yet. It's way too early. Oven Anaconda for 5 says we will never know the truth because of Bill Barr. 99% sure he's the one who ordered Epstein. Well, we don't know. He could be. I mean, he could be. We're never going to know if that's the case. Steve Dow says, who cares? How does this affect anyone's life? I agree with you to an extent. I said it. I said it today. Like, if these files are not released, it doesn't impact my life in any way. I want more money in my pocket. I want a secure border. I want less conflicts overseas. That's what's going to make Trump a good president, more so than, he releases this list of names, which we probably already know who's going to be on it. But it's deeper than that. It's just like when there's so many people and you're promising something and you're a big member of the administration, you just can't overpromise and underdeliver. So while I'm not going to sit up here and be upset that I don't have the files in my hands, I know a lot of people that were like, we're going to get it. And it's just like abusing them. And I can't stand for that because you're breaking promises. And it's not Trump's fault because Trump wasn't involved in that directly. It's Bondi's fault. And you know whose fault it is? Whichever numbnuts decided to orchestrate this binder photo op celebration thing. I'm not blaming the influencers for going. You know, you're dumb if you don't accept any invite to the White House. I don't even care who's president. It's just a good experience, good to go. But, I mean, come on, seriously. Like, what's going on here just was not a very good photo op. Not a good decision for whoever decided to do that to do it. Be different if they actually had the files and you have the photo op. Then it's like, okay, it's a little unusual, but it is what it is. But then there's old files that are already public in them, and oh, we don't have them yet. Like, well, what are you doing? Like, seriously, get it together. Dustin Carner says, I'm pissed about the fund cuts to USFS as a hunter. I'm not entirely sure what that entails. Steve Dow says, Rubio is the most competent cabinet member for the Detroit. Yeah, I agree. He's up there. He's done a good job so far. I don't think anybody could really argue with that. XJ Cherokee Bear says they were binders full of women. Yeah, technically. Johnny Hart Dog for 5 says, I want to see the files, but I'd almost rather see Fannie Merchant, Latresa, Braggs, and Smith all brought up on charges. Let's go after. Yeah, I agree. Well, so did Biden pardon some of them, or no? They just dropped their cases because they knew what would happen if they didn't. Yeah, I agree. I think that I would rather see like direct revenge on that stuff than like a list of names I've probably already seen. It's true. A lot of the lists online that have all the celebrities' names, they're fake, they're fabricated. But like, if we're gonna be honest, they're probably somewhat accurate. Maybe some names aren't on the list, some are. Like, it is what it is. Steve Dow says, trustworthy how? Like Kemp in Georgia, Rubio keeps one foot in the establishment, untrustworthy or smart. Only Trump can pull off pure MAGA. Yeah, but I think Rubio understands how to play the game better, and I think he actually does have some convictions that are more like populistic, unlike Kemp, who's just like a total WEF sellout. Like, the fact that he's not potentially, which this hasn't been confirmed, but if he doesn't run for Senate, he's still screwing us over. Because the second that a lot of MAGA are like, okay, well, we don't really like Kemp that much, but we want to beat Ossoff. Kemp will easily beat him. He'll be a vote for most of Trump's agenda. It's like, okay, well, that's good. Maybe Kemp can make himself useful. And he's like, maybe I won't run for Senate. It's like, seriously, like he just wants to spite us. Like, I just can't stand this guy. I just can't stand him. The fact it's even a question, I can't stand him. When we even want him to be in power, he chooses not to be. It's insanity. Giblet for 10 says, the problem is people are going to say Trump is on it. Watch, if I was liberal media, that's how I'd spin it. Yeah, I mean, has Trump flown on Epstein's jet? I think he flew like to New Jersey or something. Like to the island, no. I mean, there's been no evidence of it. This whole like, oh, Trump's friends with Epstein. It's like, Epstein was a billionaire in New York in the 1990s. Donald Trump was a billionaire in New York in the 1990s. You're going to cross paths. You're going to probably be at like a casino with that person. You're probably going to hang out with that person a couple of times. It's just the way that it works. Republican senators probably have hung out with each other several times. Doesn't mean that if one of them is a bad apple, that Trump is automatically implicated, or Trump went to the island, or Trump did stuff with women with Epstein. Like the one case that people talk about, it's like even an Obama judge threw it out. Trump kicked Epstein out of his properties for hitting on underage girls back in the 2000s. Epstein donated exclusively, I think, in 2016 to the Clintons, nothing to Trump. So it's not like he's implicated or involved in that sort of thing. Like he probably was like a friend or an acquaintance to a friend somewhere in that ballpark range. But there were a lot of people that were like, RFK Jr. was probably closer to Epstein than Trump. But RFK Jr.'s been open, transparent about that, basically said, yeah, I've been on his jet. I did X, Y, and Z. I didn't do nothing in terms of the shady stuff. It's like, okay. Ash K2 says, thanks to Blump, a quarter of Canadians view us as enemies and the Liberals have taken the lead. They're booing our anthem. Why antagonize them? Well, if Canadians want to shoot themselves in the foot because they have TDS, then how exactly is that like going to be something that you expect me to care about? I'm just not going to. Like, oh, the Liberals are losing. I would like for Canada to have a strong conservative or nationalistic type of president, or I guess you'd say prime minister. But if they're unwilling to do that because Trump is bad, then they don't deserve their country because they're clowns. I'll say that because I've heard so many people, Trump is tanking Poilievre in Canada. The Liberals are gaining steam. A lot of that has to do with the fact that they got rid of Trudeau, and now they have somebody. It's honestly like the Kamala Harris surge, except a little bit more real, because Trudeau was uniquely unpopular. Now people are more likely to support. I think conservatives are still in the lead, but the Liberals have gained a lot of ground for that reason. And also you have a lot of NDP voters that likely were willing to come home because they, were liberal, but they didn't like Trudeau. Now that Trudeau's out of the equation, they're going to be more likely to support the Liberal. But the whole national anthem thing, that's just stupid. Canadians, we're nice, friendly people. Hey, yeah, not really. Yeah, what happened to that? Just another myth gone down the drain. Mitchell Ryan says, thank you for the monologue. Always enjoy it. Well, thank you. Gabriel Griffin says, Trump had nothing to do with this. He's busy with the Ukraine stuff today. I do think he'll jump on Bondi and Patel when he gets... Well, he should. And I think he will. I mean, he really cares about his image. And he understands that if somebody is going to be a threat to his image, he's going to call him up and say, hey, you got to stop this. And that's exactly what you see going on here. Like, what is the point? We're going to take pictures holding binders saying Epstein files are in here. And they're old files. When you're promising that you're going to release new files. Yeah, obviously, it's not Trump's fault. He's busy. I mean, but it's a team. And if you have members of the team messing up, it's like if my defensive end decides to miss a wide open tackle that he should have made, I'm not going to blame my quarterback. I'm not going to do that. But it's a team. And you have people on the team that are not executing well. They're not doing their job. It's like if the offensive lineman doesn't know how to block properly, the quarterback's going to get sacked. It's not necessarily the quarterback's fault, even if, they tried to run, they tried to avoid it, they didn't have time. Like, you're supposed to just do your job and get it done, but they're not willing, they're not able to do it for some odd reason or another. It's tough. Derek Murray says they're covering up the missing gold in Fort Knox. Thank you for the super chat. So we're 41 minutes in. We're 14 super chats away. Any color super chat, by the way, doesn't matter if it's a blue or a teal or an orange or a red. We love the reds. I don't think you can get higher than a red. But we're 13 away from the goal. Johnny Hartdog says Trump should scold Bondi but not Patel. Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily Patel's fault. He didn't orchestrate this. This was more of a Bondi thing. And I think she has the potential to do a very good job. I want her to do a good job. I'm not one of these people like the, deranged DeSimp crowd that's going to just be like, we got to find a reason to trash Trump for one reason or another. So we could say, I told you so about the primary. And then our guy, that's what they're doing with the Tate stuff too. It doesn't even make a lot of sense. But yeah, no, Bondi needs to just get it together. It's legitimate criticism in terms of this because you have a lot of very diehard MAGA people that are like, fire Bondi already. It's like, it's a little too early, but you can't have these optics failures. I don't think that's out of bounds to say. I really don't. We got to focus. We have a Wisconsin election in 5 weeks that we need to win. We can't be worried about some Bindergate or Andrew Tate or any one of these other things that is not going to impact that because we got to win. We want to take power and we have to do things with it, not have stuff like this happen. But you gotta work on what's at hand, what's important. Pass the bill through the House. Get Brad Schimmel the Supreme Court seat in Wisconsin. Dollar for Dollars is applying system of a down lyrics to auditioning Fort Knox or to auditing Fort Knox is dumb. Mitchell Ryan says, what do you think will happen tomorrow? I have no idea. I wish I could tell you. I think we're going to find out within 24 hours, I would hope. Johnny Hartdog says, will you be streaming the Wisconsin election? Absolutely. We haven't done an election stream in a long time, and I'm looking forward to doing one. And then we'll do another one later this year when we have got Got New Jersey, Virginia. I think Pennsylvania's got a couple court races there as well. So it's going to be interesting. Someone in chat asks, is it possible to listen to the live streams after they're over? Yeah, there's several ways. One, if you like the stream, it'll show up in your liked videos. So you want to hit the like button. That goes for everybody in chat, whether they plan on rewatching or not. Or you could go to the playlist section where we talk, or where we have the Repcast archive, because it'll be in there and you could watch it off that. So Simon says, who do you think runs in Georgia if Kemp doesn't? I have no idea. I have no idea. Like, I want to win that race. Like, we need that seat. Georgia's a swing state. You could afford a little bit of a squishier R, but it's abysmal. Red Whale Politics says this is just bad optics. It's true. I agree. I don't think anybody if there's anybody in chat that thought this was good optics, please say something. Please say something in defense of it. I'd like to hear, honestly. I'd like to hear the big brain take of somebody that says, "Oh no, this was the right thing to do." Cuz you could say it doesn't matter. You could say it's not a big deal. You could say it's a distraction. You could even say you're wasting time attacking your side, which I understand that. But I also want my side to do well, and if I'm going to be a strategist, I'm going to want to say when they're messing up a little bit, and this is clearly one of those instances. So is there anybody in chat that thinks that the binder stunt was good? Maybe if you went to the White House and you're an influencer, it's like, okay, I get it, because you wanted to be there. I'm not going to trash you for that. I'm not going to say, yeah, grifter, or this, that, and the other thing. Some might be, some might not be. But is there any person who think, I still can't find anybody who thought it was good. Someone says they thought Bondi got bad intel. Well, maybe that's true. But whoever gave the intel is at fault instead of Bondi, and she needs to come out and clarify that. American Nerd 76 says, wasn't Trump with the UK PM when this? Yeah, I think so. Like I said, it's not his fault. I don't think Trump cares that much about these files, one way or another. Like, he might be like, yeah, I'll release them, but I think Trump's main focus is on those other things, his main agenda. This is like a frivolity to him. This is like in the miscellaneous section. It's like, if we never got this, I don't think people would care. I'd rather talk about deportations. I'd rather talk about one of those things. And I've given Trump a grace period for that, which is why I'm not yelling at the top of my lungs, because Trump also acknowledges we need more. He's yelling at people. He got rid of his ICE person. Johnny Heartdog says, do you ever listen to Benny Johnson? No, not really. Like, if I see a video or a short of his come up in my feed, I'll watch it, but I don't, like, listen to him, go out of my way to do so, like if he has a show. American Nerd 1776 says, Trump appointed Hung Cao the Undersecretary of the Navy. I saw that. Good pick. Good pick. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on. Do the files exist? We don't know. We really don't know. But they did at some point. So if they don't, then there needs to be another investigation. But there are other things. And that's another thing, y'all, people that are like, well, why would Trump even want to release this stuff? He should be focusing on lowering prices. It's like, you understand that the Department of Justice doesn't control inflation. Like, you understand the basics of that. They don't. They choose not to, because they just they want to throw a temper tantrum about something. People on the right do it. You know, in those groups we talked about, the simps, there's other people. People on the left do it. It's exhausting. It truly is. The American guy says, I think it's a mistake, but still Bondi can fix this. Yeah, well, she can come out and clarify. I'm sure she will. I'm not ready to say Bondi's done. I'm not ready to go there yet. You know, if this is a recurring theme or a recurring pattern, yeah, we could talk about it. But I'm not there yet. Well, We'll see. Ash K2 says, I keep seeing clips and posts about regretful Trump voters on Reddit and other leftist channels. For now, I hope it's a psyop. If not, then blue wave. Well, look, every poll I see shows that Trump has a higher approval rating, or he has a higher approval rating among Harris voters than his disapproval rating is among his own voter base. So whatever cherry-picked instances and or psyops people run with, they can run with. But the bottom line is his raw popularity number is relatively high. Obviously, it's going to fall from where it was the second he took office in terms of his net approval. There's always a honeymoon period. That's typically how presidencies go. We'll see where Trump's approval rating stands a few months from now, where it stands in 2022, come election time in the midterms. That's kind of going to be what matters. But I don't think that there's really enough room for like a blue wave of sorts anyways, because even if you give the Democrats every seat that they hold and every seat that went Republican or went for Trump by less than 6, they'd only have like 225 House seats, which is not much at all. Actually, no, they would, somewhere around there. 225 to 210? That wouldn't be all that. Johnny Heartdog for 5 says, Patel would not have made such a to-do about the files if he did not have a good reason to believe they existed. Yeah, I mean, it's like the whole thing is a mess. Like, it's clear they probably do exist somewhere, at least in some form, and we can release them at some point within this administration. I just feel like the whole rollout was a botched debacle. It's like, look, talk about the whole Biden Afghan. I'm not comparing the two, obviously. This is not going to really matter. A couple weeks, nobody's going to be talking about this. It's how the cycle goes. But I like the fact that we pulled out of Afghanistan. It's a good thing. Should have been done a long time ago. But the fact that it was done in the manner that the Biden administration did it in, it's a little bit of a debacle. So it's like, I like the release. I like the idea that we're releasing the Epstein files. The way it's been rolled out so far is not good. It's just not good. Secession Now says the Epstein client list will never be declassified because this guy is saying it's Israel. Look, how many times I see people with this. The problem with these claims is that the people say, oh, well, this is because of Israel. They always say everything's because of Israel. They stumbled out of bed this morning. Oh, they blame Israel for that too. So it's like, it's become the boy who's cried Israel with you people. And then you claim like it's like my fault because I'm not reading the full super chat in full because I understand how the terms work. It's like, okay. It's like maybe Epstein is involved with some people in certain countries. I'm just not sure the full scope of it. I haven't done my research. Some people have talked about that. Some people have not. The only problem is the people talking about it are the same people that, blame Israel because they got the pizza and the pizza's cold. Like everything that happens, it's Israel's fault, they say. So it's a little tough to take it seriously all the time. So I don't know. I really don't know. So many people want to be vindicated. Yeah, it's true. Will they be? I don't know. It's like, let's see, see what's going on here. Red Whale Politics says the debacle proves that MAGA isn't a cult. Well, yeah, I mean, we're not. We had the whole H-1B debacle. We had this debacle. It's healthy. It's a healthy conversation. It's healthy criticism. I don't even think it's like, I don't see anybody defending this, by the way. I mean, you have people that say, I don't care about it. Which, I mean, I'm not really saying that it's like the biggest deal. I'm just saying, like, you can't do this. Because I actually want Trump to do well. I don't want Trump to have hiccups. And when you have people under him, because I'm not even saying it was fully Bondi that caused this rollout, but whoever thought that this, like, influencer binder thing was a good idea, like, yeah, they probably need to be fired. Whatever like mid-tier level staffer that did this, yeah, they need to be fired. They should be. They shouldn't have a job tomorrow. This is the White House. You do this at any other job, you would be fired. You think the White House, you should have a lower threshold for BS. But, you know, it's just one of those things. American Nerd 1776 says, I'll admit I bought the hype about the files, was disappointed, but Trump is much bigger fish to fry. It's not a deal breaker for Trump because Trump didn't really have much to do with the direct rollout of it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say this is actually Trump. Like, Trump did appoint Bondi, but are any other AGs like going, how many other AGs would have likely put you in this situation? Like, is it because Bondi's just not, I don't think Bondi is somebody that I would call incompetent. I think the rollout was incompetent. I don't think she's the only one responsible for that, but she slipped up. Other people slipped up, and they need not to slip up again. Or, yeah, there's going to be some sort of calls for, oh, yeah, Trump needs to fire her and replace her. And I'm sure that Trump will. He's the guy that coined the phrase, you're fired. So it's like, yeah, you think Trump was saying, stand here with these binders, there's nothing in, like, of course not. Like, do you really think that Donald Trump went out there and did that himself? Like, no. I'm not saying that people are, but it's like you have a lot of people are like saying, well, it's not Trump's fault. It's like, we know it's not Trump's fault. It should go without saying, but there's some people that are operating in bad faith that don't. Johnny Heartdog says you reached your super chat goal. We did. 30 out of 30. Thank you. We hit the goal. The end of the month. It's our end of the month stream. So if people want to still send in super chats, end of the month super chats, feel free. But either way, it's like just exhausting. We'll go for another like 5-10 minutes. I don't want to go on for too long. I just wanted to do a stream, wanted to do an end of the month stream and talk about the stuff from today. Also, I will say this about my Vivek for Governor video. I've never had a comment section so divided. I've been doing this for 6 years now. 6 years and 3 weeks to be exact. And I've never had a topic so divisive. And it was funny because I released the video. The title's like, Vivek is running for governor. Instantly, it's like 75% like the video, but then it's like, wait, we're at 10 likes and 3 dislikes. It's like, what's going on here? And some of the dislikes, when they watched the video and understood my position, which was kind of like in the middle and talking about both sides, they actually switched to a like of the video. But it's like, I just never have had a topic that's like that divisive. Basically, I made the case for both sides in the video. It's like, yeah, Vivek has said things that are tone deaf. It kind of comes off as he's like arrogant and patronizing the American people. Some people can take him that way. I don't know if he intends it to be that way, but there are legitimate criticisms. But then again, a lot of his policy shortcomings are on national issues, whereas on like the bread and butter at the state level, which is what he's running for, I don't think, he'd be like a bad governor because he said this thing about H-1Bs when the governor doesn't set the level of H-1Bs. So, like I said, if Jim Tressel runs and competes for that nomination and it's like 50-50, yeah, I'd consider Tressel. But I'm not like going to go out of my way to say we can't vote for Vivek when he's at like 70 or 80% in the primary, because I think it'd just be a waste of time whether I like everything he says or I don't. And I think that's fair. So if he runs for he is running for governor, but if he gets the nomination, I want him to win. I want him to succeed. If he is like in a dogfight with Jim Tressel and he keeps stepping on rakes and Tressel lays out his vision, I think it's a better vision. I'll back Tressel 100%. But I don't know if Tressel's going to go for it. He might stay on the ticket with Vivek. So who knows? Johnny Heartdog says, I'd much rather see Vivek run a state than be in federal government like Senator. Yeah, I agree. I somehow think he'd be more electable if he was in the Senate race because those are more polarized, typically. But I think in practice, like, yeah, he is against DEI. And if you are going to be running a state, Like, that's a state level issue. Like the DeSantis stuff, like we trashed DeSantis because, yeah, he's got higher aspirations. He sent people to take shots at Trump recently. He did it with Byron Donalds. I thought that was like really out of bounds in my opinion. It shows he's listening to the social media lunatics and is like basically pulling a George Wallace where he wants his wife to stand in as the governor for a term so we can go again. It just doesn't sit well. But it's like, you know, as governor, has he done positive things? Yeah. Has Vivek talked about doing some of those things and like even more on a higher level? Yeah. So again, I think the whole like, oh, we're going to bring in Silicon Valley, that I'm kind of like a little bit iffy on. Like, it depends. Like if you want to build like a Foxconn plant in Ohio, please, like that's perfect. But if you want to just say, okay, no, we're going to incentivize like these white collar jobs to pour into Cincinnati to boost the GDP and also displace even more white working class Americans, that's going to be a little bit of a problem. So, you know, it's not like it kind of comes off like you're saying, like, learn to code. And this whole like our national identity revolves around our civics. It's not entirely true. It's partially true, but we have our civics in other places. Liberia has our constitution. The Philippines has our constitution. Ecuador has our currency. Belize uses the imperial units the way we do. Those countries are not us. Are there good people in those countries? Yeah. Could some people from those countries become American and assimilate? Yeah, I mean, they do. A lot of Filipinos are here. Many of them voted for Donald Trump in Nevada and helped him win that state for the first time in 20 years for a Republican. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know, we are a nation. We have our land. We are a people. We're not all the same ethnic group, and that's true. But we've always let in people in a very strict, controlled manner. Not like the way we've been doing it for the past 50 years. I'm not talking about that. We should reduce the total legal immigration. You could do a lot of that by like gutting the H-1B program, which has had a lot of waste, fraud, abuse. 3 words you'll hear a lot when you're talking about certain parts of government, especially true with the immigration system, where you have a lot of people from countries with, if you do the math, there's not that many people that score high where it would count for them to really produce in certain fields more so than Americans. But for some reason, we're like expected to take them in despite having a lot of homegrown talent already that we're not willing to tap into. And of course, affirmative action has benefited certain other groups over a lot of Americans who, you know, disproportionately would be white applying for those jobs, or, you know, American-born Asian, which would also tend to face some discrimination due to affirmative action in terms of education, in terms of the job market, etc. So there's plenty of things going on there. But it's like, you know, Vivek, I'm rooting for him if he's able to deliver. If he's able to focus on what matters, not like punch right and try to act like the arbiter of what flies and what doesn't fly. You know, I'd like to see him do well. He's very talented. There's many positive policies he has. There's many positive attributes he has to bring to the table. He's much better than Mike DeWine. I think everybody can agree with that. But there's certain things that he says that are a little bit tone deaf. And even when, like, he said something recently, what he was talking about, like civics tests. He's like, well, you know, these immigrants have to pass the civics tests, but, you know, the average American can't even pass them. We're going to have to make them pass one of these civics tests to graduate in Ohio's education. It's like, okay, you could view that 2 ways. The first way you could say, well, he's saying like, you know, it's a shame that our own citizens aren't able to reach this level and pass a test that, you know, people that have never lived in this country can pass. And people need to know more about our system, more about our government, more about how it works. Like, that's one thing, and that's fine. And maybe he meant it that way. But then there's the other interpretation. Given some of the other things that he said, you can't fully ignore the possible other explanation where it's like, oh, look, like, you know, these white people are stupid, or these Americans are stupid, because that's what he basically tweeted over the Christmas break. And did I kind of understand where he's coming from? Like, yeah, but like America, like valuing things like, oh, we like athletes. It doesn't mean that we don't produce or we can't produce engineers or people that work in big tech. Like, that's just not really how it is. So, you know, that was the main thing, because Elon, what he said about H-1B, like, he eventually clarified it. He should have clarified it earlier, where he's like, yeah, we actually would like to up the salary. We would like to reduce the fraud in the system. But then, like, Vivek's like comments kind of just made a lot of people angry, and rightfully so. And Ohio's a state where it's like it's like an 85% white electorate, but the working class portion, it's like, you know, 2/3 almost white working class, the forgotten American, like the stereotypical forgotten American living in the Rust Belt, probably voted for Obama, or at least a good portion of them did, then voted for Trump 3 times and vote solidly Republican now. You know, that's the demographic that we're talking about here. And it's like just insane to say that would comments like that would play well. Now, maybe he could explain it away. Maybe he could say, yeah, I should have worded it differently. I honestly, that would be a good start. But I'm just saying that for a primary, because I think he would win a general, but for a primary, it's a little bit tough. And it would make it a little harder to defend in a general. So you can call me a fence sitter. Some people are going to say I'm being too hard on Vivek. Some people are saying I'm not being too hard enough. But, you know, that's just the way I see it. I see both sides. I don't live in Ohio. I can't make that judgment. But if he's running away with the primary, then I'm not going to say, oh, no, we have to fund it like a challenger. But if he's like neck and neck in Tressel runs, I would be open to backing Tressel. I think that's the fair argument, the fair assessment. People in my comment section that say, yeah, I'll vote for Vivek, but if Tressel runs, yeah, I might vote for him because I really like him and people like him in Ohio. He'd probably win the general by 30 points. I'm not saying that's why you would do it. I'm not going to go like, oh, we have to be full electobro here. Like, no, it's Ohio. But let's just pick the candidate that's the best candidate that would do the best thing for Ohio. That's what I'd want to do if I lived there. So it's a crucial state to hold. It's a MAGA state. You don't want another DeWine there. I'm not saying that Vivek would be a DeWine. And I don't think Tressel would be a DeWine either, even if he was appointed by DeWine as lieutenant governor. But it's like people are like, oh, you have to vote this way. You can't vote this way. I don't live in Ohio. I presented both cases in that video. I think it's a good video. I think people should watch it, and they can come to their own conclusions. But Tate made Ron more unlikable. Well, I mean, like the way he kind of came across, like maybe I'm just reading into it too much. But the way that it came across was like, yeah, you know, I'll handle it if the federal government is letting these people in the country. And it's like, you can't be beefing with the president when you're like the Republican governor of the second largest state, just because you're surrounded by a bunch of sycophants who just want power at the federal level and know that if you get there, they'll get it. Like, that's all it stems from. I'm not an Andrew Tate defender. I'm not a Tate fan. I think the guy is done a lot of shady stuff. And I think that even the things that people liked him for, he's like overrated. I don't see him as like a role model. He's literally a pornographer of sorts. It's how he got his That's how he got his fortune besides the whole kickboxing thing. He was basically managing and doing unethical things when he was managing sites for like cam girls and stuff like that. That's not really conservative or something I would consider moral in general. But it's like at the end of the day, trying to like blame Trump for him entering the country when he hasn't been even like convicted of a crime yet, and he's legally able to do so, and he wasn't coerced. Or Trump didn't coerce the Romanian government into loosening the restrictions, then I don't see the problem here, because Trump doesn't even know who these people are. So let the system play out. And I know Romania's system is corrupt, and maybe it would be better if the whole thing was tried here. Not like our system's not corrupt, though, but I'd say probably get a fair case in some jurisdiction here. Because, even people that are probably guilty of certain things, they still deserve some presumption of innocent until proven guilty. That doesn't go out the window because you don't like the person. Although it's clear he's done shady, unethical things. It's clear he's not somebody I'd consider a role model or a good guy. But that's not the point. But you had that. You had the Epstein stuff. This will be the last call. Let's see. Rory Garahamik says, blaming Israel for everything's low. Yeah, I mean, it is a low IQ trait in a way. It's like, because a lot of these people that do it just don't understand nuance. Like, is it true that there can be legit criticism here and there? Yeah, I'm not saying there's not. I don't like our foreign policy 100% with Israel. I do think that it can come across like you feel it's an obligation and you can't dissent about certain things if you don't want to give certain foreign aid. Yeah, I mean, I don't like that. I don't like the way that is, in my opinion. There's that. I probably have more of I guess you would say hands-off-ish approach in general. I'm like that with Ukraine and Russia. I'm like that with pretty much every conflict that we have as much as possible. I'd like an America first foreign policy. I don't like how we give foreign aid to Israel's enemies either, for the record. We've been giving them a lot. I like Trump's policies in regards to the Abraham Accords. I think striking peace deals so we don't have to give as much aid is probably the beneficial way to do things. I really do. I don't like what we've done in terms of our policy with a lot of countries. But in terms of this whole we have to blame Israel for everything and then connect the dots because, he knew this guy and this guy knew this guy who lived there for 5 years in the 1990s. Therefore, he's involved. It's like, I'm not saying that there's certain clients of Epstein, that maybe there are clients of Epstein that had residencies there or didn't. I mean, I know Dershowitz has been tied to Epstein, but he's worked to distance himself, and Dershowitz has, got ties. But it's you can't blame them for everything. People are saying, Epstein's a direct asset of their intelligence. And it's I haven't seen any evidence that would point to that being the case other than just these Hail Mary theories. So yeah, you gotta come up with some better arguments, in my opinion. But apparently if you say that, then no, it's I'm the one, I'm being paid to say that, I'm the one shutting it down. It's not entirely how these things work, but oh well. Let's see. DePweb says, yeah, every stub toe. Yeah, these people will do it. They'll do that. They'll blame them. They'll blame it's everyone for everything. Secession now says, when are you going to say when every federal judge is on the list? Yes, the greatest ally funded Epstein was never a billionaire. Well, I haven't seen the funding. I don't know how he would have funded Epstein directly or for what. Maybe some of the companies, the hedge funds he was working in, because, he's a hedge fund manager. So you could probably find some financial ties on that front. As for every federal judge on the list, I don't think that that's probably going to be the case. Every federal judge has been on the Epstein list. That's not. I don't think that's true. There might be a lot of them. There might be many of them, high, powerful politicians. But if the entire FBI is implicated, which a good chunk of them could very well be, you'd have to believe that they destroyed a lot of the evidence already. They knew Patel was coming in. It's going to just look like they just fled the country. All the paperwork is gone. It's over. You'd have to think that. You'd have to think that. So All right. I think we're going to wrap things up. We will be live again on Sunday. We hit our goal. If we're not able to go on Sunday, it will be on Tuesday. We'll do our first stream of March, but we're already at the end of February. It was a good month. Tomorrow's the last day, so we'll be here. We'll do a video tomorrow. A lot to talk about, and a lot of focus on Wisconsin. Once again, if you know anybody in Wisconsin, text them, give them a call, do what you got to do. Just make sure people vote, because so many people don't know what's going on, and that's the problem. It's not that they wouldn't vote. They just don't know what's going on. So we have to kind of be our own ground game here and make sure that we can relay to these people what is going on. So, all right. We'll be back. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching the stream. Like the stream down below. Subscribe, hit the bell. I'll see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.